Hey friends, it's Dr. Mary Gardner with Lap of Love Veterinary Hospice. And I typically do these Facebook Lives and videos on medical issues. And I decided to take a little bit of a different approach and do something kind of fun to talk about different ways that you can create memorial items for your pets. And, you know, to be honest, I probably have 100 ideas, and there's so many out there on Etsy and on just on the internet. But I wanted to touch base on a couple of the most common things that we do. And also afterwards, bring on a special guest to talk about some things that she does that I absolutely love. So I wanted to really focus first on our paw impressions. At Lap of Love, for every family that we help, we always do a paw impression after we say goodbye. And I have to tell you, the paw impression is probably one of the most important things that we as veterinarians do, because it's the last, physical memento that you may have, and it's not easy. So if some of you have tried to get a paw impression from your pet, they may not like it, especially if they're sensitive on their feet or their toes. If you've ever had to clip their nails and they want nothing to do with it, it can be a challenge. So that is why I personally like to do the paw impressions after they've passed. And, to be honest, I'd love to also hand something to you as a family afterwards that brings a little smile back to your faces. But I want to talk about some of the tips and tricks I've had over the years. So there is a lot of different clay material out there available. Either they're air dry or they're bakeable. And we at Lap of Love use a Crayola air dry material. So it's very soft. It's very easy to use. And then you just let it sit for a week and then it air dries. There are the baking type, which you then have to bake. And some of the differences are that the air dry, it kind of ends up like a styrofoam, and I've got some examples. So this is that air dry, and you could bang it on your head and it's not going to break. Where the baked ones, this is hard, and if you drop it, it's broken. So I always careful with my baked ones versus my air dry ones. So I really like the air dry for making it easy. So if you do plan on trying to get a paw impression of your pet before they pass, maybe look into the air dry clay, because it's a lot softer and easier to press their paw, and they may not be as aggravated as much. There are also other products out there. It's I don't know how to really describe it really well. It's kind of like a styrofoam, and you push the pet's paw into it. So there's a lot of products available. But I want to show you some of the paw impressions. So this, my girl Sam, some of you may have known. Somebody says my video is out of focus. I see it okay, so let me know. My girl Sam, I let go on Valentine's Day, and so I did a paw impression of her, and so of hers. So now the glare is bad, but I'm gonna try to get it. So there's my little paw impression. So a thing to keep in mind when you're doing these is that you do have to use a bit of pressure when you're making these paw impressions. So I usually like to personally do the middle pad first of the pet, and then each and every toe afterwards, and it's one time. So you got to push it, because if you try to lift it up and see how you did, and if it didn't work well, you push it down again, it's just not going to be good. The other thing to consider is if you want to put their toenails or claws in it as well. This is a hot debate, I hate to tell you. So I have had many families, many veterinary clinics, many crematories argue about whether or not to put the claw in the paw. So I personally like to do it. I usually, if they're very long nails, I will clip the nails so that way it doesn't kind of scoop out the clay when you're removing their, by the way, please tell me where you're calling from or listening from. So I see Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. So anyway, back to the claws. Your paw print will look very different if you don't do the claws or not. So if you ever get a paw impression back from, let's say, a crematory, and they didn't do the claws, you might think this is not my pet's paw because it looks so different. But I like it. Sometimes they can look a little bit like a raccoon with the claws on it, but I do personally, just me, hello Seattle, like the claws in it. So What I also love to do is an ink impression. And this is my girl Sam, her ink impression. These are really hard as well. So again, you have to put more pressure than you think. And you will have an ink pad, and my special guest will show us a little bit more maybe. So you have a little ink pad and you just load up the paw as best as you can. What you also want to do is make sure that you, hello Salem, Oregon, and Florida, Michigan, is clip any extra fur, so that sometimes they can have fur between their little pads, and it could get into the ink or even into the clay a bit too much. So maybe if you want to shave a little bit, this is why I sometimes like to do it better after they have passed. But I love an ink impression. And what a lot of people do then is you can scan this, you can get a lot of products made. I even know people who have had tattoos made from their paw impressions. So if any of you have a cool way that you've used your paw impressions, please post in some pictures and things like that. Hello, Los Angeles and Nevada. Now, back to the ink. So one tip is that a lot of times our pets' pads are very dry. So if you take a damp paper towel, so just a moist paper towel, and moisten, not wet, but just moisten their pads a little bit before you put it on the ink, it'll really suck up ink well and then make a really good print. Now, here's my special trick that I do. So what I do is I gotta make sure I'm doing this right. I ink the paw, and then I make, with an inked paw, a clay impression. So here's my impression, and it's got the ink in the clay. So this is my little special, I should trademark this. My little special thing that I do is that I put the ink inside. So I talked to you about that there's these ink pads that you can get at like Michael's or any craft store. They also have different colors. So if you don't want black, you can have red or pink or purple or whatever. I found one that had a rainbow pad. And so then I did for my boy Duncan, my Doberman, I made a rainbow paw impression, and I didn't get his little nails. That's okay. And then, but then I did what I just showed you there. Let's see if I can show that. And then I did a paw impression with the rainbow ink. So a lot of different things that you could do. Now, besides, Roxanne's getting a tattoo of Smokey. Okay, so another thing that we can do is take an impression of the pet's nose. So the nose is actually said to be more like a thumbprint, very unique to a pet. And I like to do a nose impression as well. So if I'm ever helping a family and they've made a special comment about the nose, like I'm gonna miss his nose prints on the window or something like that, I'll make a mental note of that and do that nose print afterwards. So here's my girl Sam. So here's the ink print of her nose. Let me see if that looks kind of good. And it's great, it gets all the little nubbies in there. And then just like my paw impressions, I made an ink impression in clay. So an ink and clay together of her nose. And I just really, really love the nose prints. Again, you can make this into jewelry, into prints and things like that. I will tell you that sometimes, like with the paw, you have to put a lot of pressure, and you have to do that with the nose prints too. And because our noses are quite wobbly, you have to push really hard, and some people, you may not like that, but I did it to my own girl Sam after she passed because I really loved her nose, and I will miss kissing her nose. So I did that. So I love the paw impressions. And then at the crematory, so I also own a crematory, and we have a special engraving machine where we take these prints and we scan them in and we clean them up for all the little extra fur and things like that, and the nails. And then we engrave it on the top of the box. So this is a special engraving machine. So there's a lot of products out there that you can find. And then also we do. Somebody says she likes my rainbow ink. So at every passing with Lap of Love, we also take a little fur clipping. And so this is my girl Sam and all her pretty fur. So, try to think about if you want to get a fur clipping, where you might want to get that. I personally love behind the ear. It's always the softest fur, or any special coloring. So if you are going to get some fur back from your veterinarian or your crematory, and you want a specific color or place, certainly let them know, because that way we can make sure we can honor that. And especially those multicolored kitty cats and things like that, you want to get from all the best places. So somebody just asked, do you do the nose prints while the pet is still living? So you can. They don't love it. I'm not gonna lie. So it is, you do have to push hard, and it could be scary to some of them. You certainly can. So try to look at a very soft clay. So the air dry clays are really soft. So that way it's quick. So it's you know, they could get kind of nervous. I wouldn't want somebody to imprint my nose right now, but I would do my hand. So that is just some of the things I wanted to show you before. Now I'm going to bring on my, she had crinkled hair behind her ear, and that's the exact fur she wanted. I love the ear fur. So now I'm going to bring on my special guest without further ado, because she's got some other things. And, you know, over time, I'll add on other videos to talk about different ways that you can memorialize your pet. But my friend, Mandi Pratt, I met her when I was living in Southern California. So hello to all my SoCal friends. And because I needed a photographer to take some pictures, professional pictures of me and my girl, my Samoyed. And I found her, and miraculously, because she is an amazing photographer, but she also does other really amazing things with some with your pet's pictures and things like that. So so Renee says it's much kinder to wait until they've passed. I agree with you on the nose print. I would wait. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my friend, Mandi Pratt. Hello, there you are.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. So Mandi, you are in Southern California. I miss you very much. I miss all my California friends. And thank you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
So I just have to show off some of your photography, because I think I was looking up for a pet photographer, and I always suggest any of my hospice clients to go get photography done, because you took the most amazing pictures for me, and I will always remember them and cherish them. So this is my girl. She is Samoyed, and everyone's like, oh, she looks like she's a puppy. She was 14 in this picture, so she was really old. And I told Mandi, so Samoyeds have they do a roo. So there's something called a roo, and it's a special kind of sound that they make. It's anyway. So I was like, Mandi, there's one picture I want, and I want it of her rooing. And she got me the best roo picture ever. And then also there's like, I've got a whole book of wonderful pictures that you've taken. It's incredible. I can't even get them all in there, but one of the pictures was so good that I actually used it for a textbook that me and Danny and other veterinarians created. So you're awesome. And I just needed to give you that shout out. But you are more than just a great photographer.
Thank you. You're so nice.
What kind of tips can you give it? I talked a little bit about paw and nose impressions already, but can you give me some other tips that you may have?
Yeah, for sure. So just to explain a little bit. So I started out with the pet photography, and then I was having clients tell me like, man, I wish I would have done this like for my pet, you know, that's passed. Can you do anything with a picture of them that I have like on my phone, you know? And for so long I felt so bad, because I was like, no, I can't, you know, I'm so sorry. But my grandmother is an artist, and she was like, why don't you come out here to Arizona, play with my printing press, you know, and we'll see what we can get together. So that was in 2015. So ever since then, I've been creating these etchings. Sometimes I'll just do, you know, let's see, without this stuff, just the picture. Yes, so people will send me like a couple phone shots. Yeah, there's one too. And they're actually etched photos. So it's not a drawing, it's an etching. But
what does that mean, an etching?
Right. So it means that there's a whole process with these. Actually, I'm going to just grab, there's an etched plate sitting right next to me. I'm going to grab that, because it'll help.
My videos, there's no rules. We do whatever. Oh, what is this?
It'll help make sense. So what happens is people send me like a couple of photos, and then I'll tell them which one is going to make like the best, you know, etching. And everybody gets all, you know, worried about what kind of photo, like what should it look like? And I'm just like, just send me like 5 to 10, and then I'll tell you which one is the best, as long as they're in focus and stuff like that. And sometimes I will like Photoshop some of the stuff in the background, like a crooked windowsill or, stuff like that. And then I take the image and then I print it to a transparency. And then this is a light sensitive plate. So I put the transparency over the plate and then I expose it. And then I wash off the top part, and then it leaves these like etched grooves in the plate. And then I have to ink the plate and then wipe off the excess. And then it gets paired on my grandmother's printing press with a piece of Italian cotton paper. And then I literally like crank the press through. I do Facebook Lives every Friday to show how they're made, because people are always like, what is that? How do you make those? So it comes out pressed, kind of like the whole letterpress idea. So that's what this is. And let me see if you can see, there's like an impression in the paper there. It's hard to see from this angle, but that's what they are. So you feel it?
I feel it.
Yeah.
So cool.
So it's just a way to like, take a photograph and put some like depth into it, and then, just make it into fine art. So people seem to really like them as gifts or just for themselves. But then I started playing around with my own, because I thought, yeah, there's a kitty one.
Good for our cat lovers. So we are not speciesists.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I started playing with a couple different things. One was adding in a little bit of ash, because I'm mixing up the ink anyway. And so I made one of my kitty cat and just added like a little bit of his ash. So that way I knew like it not only was just this, his etched portrait, but it was actually like him a little bit. So that was cool. And then I was like, okay, what if when Jack passed, who you so graciously helped me with, thank you. When he passed, I had the mold that you made and everything. And yeah.
That was my paw print. Did I do okay?
Yes, you did great. And you gave me a little bit of his fur.
Yes, I did. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, so I took a little bit of his fur and tied it with a thread. And then his paw print. And then this is a little wax seal that I put like a little bit more of the ash into. So that way, because I wanted like one piece to hang on the wall that was like a collage of everything,
I like this idea. So if I send you a picture of Sam, pictures of Sam,
yes.
And then would I send you maybe an ink or can you take a picture of this?
Okay. So I wrote a whole blog post about these, because it's better if you have the actual print, what you just showed me, like this, But if you don't, then I figured out how to make like a stamp from this. So on my blog, it talks all about that, and it gives the different products, because I tried a few.
We'll post your blog link here so everybody's got it.
And I just wrote a new one this morning just for you guys. So there's links to all the different, posts where I show the products and stuff. But so I just experimented with this, and then I ended up creating this, and that's how I could press, like a stamp, and then get this. So that way I could stamp this as many times I wanted, to make multiple pieces of art or whatever. So that was cool. And then Mary, what you were saying too, with my pets that I have now, I'm like, oh my gosh, now that they're still with me, like I want to do everything I can, right, to like keep them with me. So I found these, they're like mess-free ink pads. Yeah. So that way you have to make sure you have the right side. And then you put their paw on top, and there's a piece of paper underneath, and then you just press. And like you said, you kind of have to press hard. Yeah. And then you lift it up, and then you get the print like you were showing, like this. Nice. And there's no mess, because it's like ink side down. So it's cool.
Okay. I got it. That is so cool. So, all right. So on your blog, it talks about how to make that stamp, if you will, and then could send you the stamp maybe and a little bit of fur.
Actually, what you would do is if you made the stamp and then you would just ink, you put some ink on it and then you stamp it and then you send me this.
Nice. Okay. So then I would send you that little bit of ashes if I wanted to, and maybe some fur also. And then nice.
And I have this little kit for those people who want to do the ashes.
Yes.
And I send them this because people are like, wait, what do I do? Right? Like, how much do I send you and all? So I give them instructions here.
There you go.
And then in here is the tiny little, check this out. This is so tiny. This tiny little scoop. And that way they know like how much to put in there. And then there's a little Ziploc baggie. And then they just mail this back to me.
So not much, because, you know, a lot of people are surprised how little ashes some little guys could get. So, and because I own a crematory, like I see it now happening. And so let's say you have a 5-pound kitty cat. It's what we get back is bone. And I'll do a whole Facebook Live on cremation maybe one day. What we get back is the remnants of the bone ground up into ashes. And bone mass is kind of small on some of these guys. Even if you have a fat cat, you know, it's just their bones, and my bones may be more dense than somebody else's of the same weight. And so you are not going to get, if you have a 50-pound lab and another 50-pound lab, you might get different amounts back. So don't be nervous about that if you ever have that. But sometimes these little guys, these kitty cats, we don't get much back. And so that small scoop is, I could give that up.
Yeah, this is tiny. And so
my ashes.
I have a question for you. A lot of people ask me is, you know, can you ask your crematorium to package these up for you so you don't have to, like, you know, it's hard enough to lose a pet and then to open that up and like have to deal with the ashes. So
yeah, so fantastic question. So almost all crematories will put their ashes in some kind of urn, obviously, right? And so most will have like a little lock, you know, it's kind of like a trunk, if you will. But it's one of those like super easy locks to open, right? And so but ours has this, it's hard to get, has a screw and then it like the little slides out. But all of the ashes are always kept inside a bag. So whatever urn they're in a bag. A lot of people ask that. They're worried they're going to open it, like ashes are going to come out. So it's all in a bag, but sometimes they're vacuum sealed. And so this is a great point. At Monarch, our crematory, it's just like tied, so you can untie it, scoop some out, tie it up again. But Sarissa, my girl that you took pictures of, her ashes are vacuum packed, and I don't want to open that, right? So great point. You could ask the crematory, ask your veterinarian to put a note so that way they could put it in a separate little baggie, because your products, jewelry, resin products, there's so many great stuff out there, diamonds, everything we can make from ashes. So that way you don't have to open them and disturb your urn, because it is, some people are a little bit, you know, I don't even want to call sensitive. They don't want to open it, right? Yeah. So that's a great point. So that 100% your crematory can help you with that. And you know, after the fact, have a friend or something like that. But the ones that get vacuum sealed is the ones that are even more important to try to ask. There's many things you can ask of your crematory. So
that's cool. I didn't know. Yeah, that's cool.
Nice. Okay, so how long does it take you to do these etchings?
Right. So I do them every Friday unless somebody needs one sooner than that. But I do these live on Facebook and Instagram. So it's fun for people to be able to like see their art be made.
Oh, so, wait a minute. So you might even pick mine to be shown on your Facebook Live.
Yes, exactly.
So fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So it takes a while to make them. So I usually like prep them before I go live when I'm making them and stuff. So it takes a couple hours, and then the actual paper and the artwork has to dry overnight. So that way I can sign it the next day. Like, see down here it's signed and numbered and stuff like that. So it takes, you know, a couple days, and then I package it up all pretty with ribbon and all that kind of stuff. So
nice.
yeah,
You do a phenomenal job. I've got other things from you too that I got from you. Remember this?
oh, Sarissa.
My little switches. So I got these, and they're like, I don't know what you call these, but
they're mounted prints. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm very good at photography or arts and crafts. So this is so cool. And and do you have like options to pick sizes? I like that size, what you had there, because it's not too big. It still has, what's that?
This goes, everything that I make, I always package it up in a double matte.
Okay.
And they all come in like standard sizes. So this is an 11 by 14. So you just, you can go purchase an 11 by 14 frame from Michael's or wherever you want. And then you just pop it right in there. So it's easy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then I guess I should say the most popular etching is this one by itself. And it comes in at 8 by 10 matte. And yes, like that. Exactly. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes, here's Leo. I like our kitty cat again.
Yeah, kitty cat.
I love it. And well, now hold on. Now that I'm looking at Leo a little bit up close, let's see if everybody can see what I see.
Yes.
Leo's got green eyes like me.
Right.
How did you do that?
So with some of the etchings, some of them to me, they just call out for color. Like if people happen to go to my blog and they'll see the blog post before the recent one, I colored this dog's sweater because it was red, and it helps the image kind of pop a little bit more. And people can request if they want color, or sometimes I'll suggest it, like, hey, this would look like even more amazing, like if the red sweater was colored. So are you good with me doing that? And so it's just like a fun way to add a little bit of extra oomph to it, I guess.
I love it. Joanne she had a cat named Greyboy. Her spelling was
no way. Oh my gosh. That's what I named my company after, my kitty cat, whose nickname was Greyboy.
Look at that. Okay, so I'm doing a horrible job putting my little things out here. So I'm supposed to show that. I'm sorry, I always forget to do this. And also Greyboy Pet Portraits.com. That's a little, so I love it. And so Joanne spells it with an A, but that's okay. Here's a great one. You have the nose, somebody has a picture of that.
Right.
So, and I could feel it. Sorry, now I'm getting all into the feeling. Now I want people to ask some questions that I have. Nancy says her beloved boy recently passed. She wished she thought of all these memorial ideas. She did clip a little fur. What else can she do with that?
Right.
Any ideas with that?
Yeah. So I just wrote the blog post that I just published this morning. I gave some other options in there too. There's a couple other artists that I like. So there's one in there for you, Nancy, who takes fur and does special like jewelry and different things like that. So if you go to that blog post, you can click on her link there and check it out. So hopefully that's helpful. But she has all kinds of different options. That's so cool.
I'm sitting here with COVID, bored out of my mind. So I started to do resin, which I'm horrible at. It's not easy. But before Sam passed, I actually clipped some fur from Sam as my test, and I put it in some resin, which was cool. But I would suggest finding somebody who knows really how to do it, because my resin products, like here's my paper cup, which is or my pencil cup, way too small. So my resin is not so good, but there's a lot of different things you could do to kind of keep it. And I know for me, for a little while, I like to smell their fur. I know, call me weird, but I'm sitting here smelling their fur because I miss it. So I like to take. I probably take more than I should. But okay, awesome. You have some other ideas on your blog. Thank you. So let's see if there was anything else that I missed. Nancy would like my crematory lecture. All right, I'll do that. I thought of that. Why not? So we had a pendant urn made. There's also, there's little pendants that can hold ashes and fur. This isn't one of them. This was actually when I graduated vet school. This is Sarissa's paw print. Everyone's like, oh, is that like a ferret or a rat? No, the artist shrunk it down, and it's an impression. There's a lot of jewelry that could be etched, and then there's it's an impression. She must have did the reverse stamp as well. But there's the little lockets and things like that. I'll admit it's very hard for me to get the ashes in those lockets. The holes are like super small, so you need like a special Alice in Wonderland funnel to like get it into the tiny little bits. But so it's so there's a lot of different things you could. Okay, definitely get more pet fur than you think, because you might need it for a project. I would agree. So Linda had a yellowish diamond made from Jerry at lifegem.com. So you could use fur ash, right? They make carbon, like they take the carbon out of it. That's just so awesome. So I'm trying to think if there's, so I'm going to show you guys something. Please don't think I'm a little bit, odd, but we do get a lot of times and people asking for things like teeth. And I wanted to talk about teeth. And it is, what you see is like a third of what's there. So teeth roots go really far up into the bones. Just like if you were to ever get a tooth extracted, it takes a lot. You can't just go and come out. So we do have a number of families that ask if they could get a tooth back. And sometimes these little incisors, these little wiggly ones, we can easily kind of help them get. But the canines are really hard, and it takes usually special equipment. So if that is something that you want, I would definitely talk to your regular veterinarian. And even if Lap of Love helps you, we can help, you can then bring your pet to your regular veterinarian to take out the tooth. Because we do aquamation here in South Florida, and there's other aquamation options available, we actually can save many of the teeth. And so when Sam was cremated, I noticed that there was teeth left. So I actually asked my friends at the crematory to save me some teeth. So I'm going to show you one of her teeth. This might be a little bit shocking to some, but look at how big. So this is what you see. And that's all what's like, it's a little fragile, right? So you have to be careful with these things. So I asked them to save me one or two teeth. They actually saved all the teeth for me. So I have a jar full of her teeth.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I don't know what I will do with them, but I could turn them into diamonds as well. But I wanted to bring it up because sometimes people are maybe not want to ask about these things. But trust me, we have been asked from taxidermy to teeth to, I have shaved a whole dog once because they wanted to make a sweater out of it. So there was just a part of me that's like, well, I can never get those teeth back. So can I have a tooth? And when you're in a moment of grief, maybe you ask for things that you're like, now what am I going to do with this?
Right.
That's okay. So I just wanted to put it out there. Let me just see if we've got any other questions. You're not weird. Thank you, Nancy. She smells her dog too. So always take really good pictures. I really do love to take the senior or hospice photography. There was somebody up earlier that's from Houston. She's a photographer and she does hospice sessions, like and because they're just the best looking when they're skinny and scrawny and wobbly. And so Kathy found a piece of Tippy's fur in a pocket on the way home after her passing, and made me feel like she was still with me. Do you know if anyone has DNA tested from the fur? I always regretted not doing a DNA to see what breed she was. This is a great one, Kathy, because there's like the 23andMe basically version of pet DNA testing for the breeds. And I was always like a little skeptical about these things, but I just did it for my dog, who's like a hound mix. And I was like, if they come back with like half Chihuahua, half Rottweiler, then I know this is not right. And they literally came back with like what I could totally see him being. I think I did wisdom panel. So I would, but I don't think they could do that off of the fur. I think because it was a swab. So things to think about beforehand. So Carrie asked, do you mean to keep the fur in a syringe? I could honestly see that being very cute, like a shot of Fluffy. Maybe. Carrie, I'm with you on anything you want to do. Can I paint or write on my cat's paw print? Oh, this is a great one. So Linda asks, can she bite on it? So afterwards, You can. So sometimes people will put stamps in the clay, and I don't mind that. As a veterinarian, like sometimes I get a stage fright to do that, because then I'm like, I got to make sure I spell it right, and it could be backwards. The E could be backwards, and the stamp, and sometimes the stamp will have a little square around it. It takes artistry to do these things. So, but you can, after it's dry, you can write on it and get somebody with really nice, handwriting to do it. At our crematory, we engrave, that beautiful engraving machine engraves the names on it, because none of us have good handwriting to write it on there. But you absolutely can. You could just get a Sharpie and write it on there. I'm trying to think if I had one to show you, because I wrote my pet's name on the back of some of these, because I can't remember who they are. That's so funny. So let's see. How difficult are teeth to remove from an aquamation? Carrie, they're there afterwards. So you just pick them out of the pile of, because what's left is bone and teeth. I'll talk all about that in my other one.
Dr. Mary, can I say something really quick about the pet photography? So I always tell people, like, it's so important to make sure that you get good photos, whether you do them yourself or you have a professional do it. And on my website, on the very top navigation bar, there's it says photographers right there. And if you click on there, there's two things. One, there is a link to go find different professional pet photographers all around the nation. And so they can find one by them. I'm in Southern California, but if you're living in Maryland, then you can go find one that's closer to you that way. And then I also do work with pet photographers who, like, I do etchings for them as well, for their clients. So that's all on the website. So yeah.
Love it. I'm so glad I did my session with you. And Sam has been I've been in a couple of newspapers, so she's been on the New York Times. That girl, she didn't need her own special
That's
session.
awesome.
She's like hot stuff. So Rick asks, can the etchings be made waterproof, because maybe adding to a wind chime or something?
I don't have the capability to do that, but if you go onto that blog post that I wrote this morning on greyboypetportraits.com and click on the blog, you can ask the other gal, Comfort Connects, I think it is, and you can ask her, because I'm not sure if she does that, but she might know somebody who does.
What about the plate that you make?
The plate, yes. So unfortunately, I didn't think to bring in an inked one to show you guys, because once it has ink on it, you can actually see their face a little bit better.
A little bit. It's a dog.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So actually, I have one right next to me. Hang on just a second. We were playing with the idea of offering the actual etched plates.
Oh, that's
and I had my framer just frame it just for kicks. It's a float frame type of thing. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
But I was going to show this to her. So that is an example of an inked etched.
And the ink was dry, obviously, right? So that way it doesn't smudge.
It's dry. But normally, the regular, what I'm doing is I'm etching the plate, and then I ink it, and I put it on the printing press, and then I put the paper on top, and it gets cranked together, and that's what leaves that impression here that you feel. Yeah. Kind of like letterpress, that kind of idea.
Yeah, it's super cool, guys. I wish you all could feel what I'm feeling.
It's hard. You gotta like feel it to really get that.
To appreciate it. I love it. Okay, so Kristen says her Virginia Beach Lap of Love vet was amazing. Oh, that's awesome. We have two out there, so I don't know who was yours. As sad as it was, she always loved working with her and the Pet Loss Center, which is her crematory out there. So yeah, they're great. Carrie, I've also seen other vets tape with clear packing tape markings on a pet to shave under the tape to lift the whole marking away. Oh, I get it. So if they have a special, put like the not shipping tape, but kind of like the packing tape, and then when you clip underneath it, that's something else to think about, guys, because a lot of times we'll clip kind of, I don't want to say longer fur, but we'll clip it. If you go deep into the fur and like really shave close to the skin, it's almost darker there. It's like the roots or a different texture. And so some people will be concerned that that's not their pet if the crematory goes like deeper than I may cut at an appointment. So But that's cool to then have it all in one place. So Nancy loves this idea. Pam had a couple of pillows made from photos. I love it. I miss doing paw and ink. So Kristen loves doing all those paw impressions. And then Kathy had a photo made of my pet's paw taken in the snow and on an asphalt driveway. It's pretty clear. Do you think an engraving or etching could be made from that?
Yes. In fact, that's one of the options that I put on the blog post. If your pet is still with you, you can either do the mess-free ink pad, to get the actual print like we were showing, or you can actually take a picture of their paws, right? So hold up the paw and take a picture with your phone. Or if you're out walking, I just did this the other day with my lab shepherd rescue that we have. And she stepped into the grass, and then the wet grass, and then stepped onto the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, that's like the perfect paw print. So I snapped a picture with my phone. So that way you have it, that way as well too. So
I love it.
There's
Great
options.
idea. There you go, Kathy. Take it in the snow. We're in South Florida and Southern California, so we can't appreciate that. All right, I'm going to put back up here because I got to do my job well, and put this, and we will put the blog, and I think Deanna put the blog up there earlier. You're very welcome, Elizabeth. And so you've done all these great blogs, Mandi. You're so talented as a photographer. Do you do photography still in Southern California by any chance?
Yeah, I do. In Southern California. So I'm actually in the Inland Empire area, but I often go to Orange County and surrounding areas. Yeah.
Okay, good. I couldn't ask for a better photographer for my
thank you. I'm glad I got to meet Sarissa in her Wonder Woman collar. So cute.
She has a Wonder Woman collar on, guys. Like,
yeah.
She was a Wonder Woman.
She was cute.
Well, Mandi, thank you so much. I hope this was helpful for everybody out there. And it's a lot of great stuff is online if you just search for it. But it is important to get the items before it's too late, right? And that's what's important. So and also think about special spots you might want to have taken. If you've got like a three-toed animal and you want a certain paw, to be shown, right? Like, or a certain paw to be taken because it's special. All of these little things. So listen, Mandi, it was awesome having you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you gave everybody inspiration. And everybody go check out her Facebook Lives. So what's your Facebook page?
It's just at Greyboy Pet Prints.
Greyboy.
We're both Facebook and Instagram. So every Friday not this one because I have to take a personal day to say goodbye to somebody for a funeral, but normally on Fridays at 2 p.m. I go on to Facebook. That's California time. And then I etch people's artwork live for them there for like 20 minutes or so. And then I'll hop onto Instagram at 2:30 and then do that there as well for them. So it's fun, and then I can answer questions and it's just fun to do.
I love it. This is awesome. So thank you so much for all that you do for our pets and the families that love them.
Thank you. And thank you so much for helping my Jack. You were so awesome.
I loved it. Oh, it was so nice helping you guys. Oh, it might be weird to some people for me to say it. Might nice, but like he was in your lap. It was awesome. The best.
Such a different experience than being in, the veterinarian office. I just really liked, being outside and kind of
under the tree. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll find Sam up there because I definitely miss her and but I'm sure she's got a lot of friends that angels that I've created up there, and she's in good company. And thank you everybody who's watching, and please give your gray muzzle a kiss from me. Take care till next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.